hello everyone. I'm Bob Still, Executive Director of the Radiology Business Management Association, and I'm proud to be sitting with my 5 bosses, who all happen to be female this year. We believe this is our first female executive committee in the history of RBMA, and I want to just go around the horn. This is our current president, Sarah Mountford. Sarah's with Zotec Partners. She's our 2019-2020 president. Our immediate past president, Christy James from Partners Healthcare in Boston, Massachusetts. Our president-elect, Linda Wilgus from Northwest Radiology Network in Indianapolis, Indiana. Our treasurer, Carol Hamilton from St. Louis, Missouri. And our secretary parliamentarian, Shannon Wilson, who manages a large radiology practice in the San Francisco Bay Area. So welcome, ladies, and I'm fortunate to have these 5 women helping guide the organization and guide our board of directors. So we just wanted to have a little chat, get maybe some perspectives on radiology, healthcare from your perspective. One of the things I have found fascinating leading the organization, helping to lead the organization, is that we have predominantly male physician groups up until recently, led by strong business leaders who happen to be women. And I find that to be a fascinating dynamic that male physicians say, hey, here ladies, you run the business. So that's an interesting perspective. Carol, you had an interesting perspective earlier on that may be true.
Well, it's because women are better at taking care of children than men. They have to be experienced at that to be able to handle radiology.
And how true, yes, after having managed a group.
Please don't show this to Carol's group.
No. My doctor might see it.
And I know all of you pretty well. You've all told me your stories of how you've gotten into the industry. Sarah, you have a very interesting story of how you all of a sudden were thrust into managing a group, right? Why don't you share?
Well, my dad was a physician, a family practice physician. He was kind of raised in his practice. You know, when I was 3, I was filing charts, and started working the front desk when I was 12, and when I was 13, I started answering the phone. And after I got out of college, my dad had a practice manager who stole money from him, and he figured it out when he couldn't make payroll. And so he borrowed money on his credit card to pay his staff, and then called me and said, I really need help. And so I dropped out of a graduate program and went to work for my dad, and learned billing the day the billing staff quit in protest that the boss's daughter had just walked in and become their boss. So it was a hard way to learn, but
baptism by fire. And you have a sociology degree, so that follows right in with the knowing how to take care of kids. Right? So, and Christy is from a very large organization, Mass General Hospital, Partners Healthcare. So that's an interesting perspective that you've been able to share with us the last year as president. And you might want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure, Bob. In Partners, actually, we pride ourselves that we have quite a few women in our executive leadership. And women are required to be in leadership roles and try to be part of as many, I would say, what kind of groups? Leadership groups, get educated. We have leadership educational series that we all have to go through. And it's really kind of exciting that they promote women primarily to get into those type of I know what Jerry said. I was also the chair of the Women in Leadership at Mass General Hospital, and that was really exciting. Which we have, I think, up to 300 members of that. So we pride ourselves by bringing in younger women to learn and network with women in leadership, and so that we found was very valuable in the organization. Very, very valuable.
That's exciting. Linda, I know in Indianapolis, Indiana, you've gone through leadership program training, and you're a CPA as well, and so you bring that strength to your practice, which is fascinating to me. So you might want to talk about that.
Yeah, but before I do that, I want to say how honored and excited I am to be working with such strong and accomplished women for RBMA, and I'm excited about helping move the mission and the organization forward. I had the honor to be a part of the Richard Lugar Leadership Program for Women, and it was a year-long program to help promote women leaders in policy and public service. And it's very much formed in the fashion of Richard Lugar and his statesman type of culture and personality. So yes, it was a great program to be a part of. I am super excited about what we can accomplish at RBMA. I don't know that a fully majority women executive team is common, but I can't wait for the day that it is as common as a fully a male board organization. So
Right.
That's interesting. That's great. And Shannon from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, really came into practice management through the marketing side. By the way, Shannon, you don't know this, but the song, the Paul Simon song, "Diamonds on the Soles of My Shoes,"
Yes.
always reminds me of you,
Oh,
Shannon.
really?
So
That's one of my favorite songs.
that'll be a theme song. I actually heard it the other day, and I thought of Shannon Wilson. And yeah, there you go. So, but Shannon, that's an interesting coming from the marketing side into
Yes.
how that.
So really how that happened was honestly thankful to RBMA and everything that I've been able to learn from all of you sitting right here, and everybody who's in a senior position within RBMA. I've been a member since 2010, and honestly without this organization I would not be where I am today in my practice. Just learning all aspects of the practice and being able to take that back and speak to it, and really form collaborations within my practice from billing to IT, HR, accounting, is not necessarily typical in the marketing role. I just did a talk at Texas RBMA in regards to how marketing really should be integrated into all aspects of your practice, and really what can we bring to the table, and pushing out the objectives of the billing department is really first and foremost, something most people probably don't think about in the marketing world. But all of that really stems from everything I've learned from RBMA. And I've been lucky that in my current practice, our senior management team is made up of 6 individuals, 4 of whom are women. So we come from a large female-dominated leadership practice as well, which is pretty awesome. And we also take pride in our leadership in our group, and I was thankful enough to be granted the gift of a mentor and a coach from a woman in the Bay Area who was exceptional and who's kind of really elevated my level within the practice as well in leadership. So it's great that we're able to do that.
Yeah, that's exciting. All of your stories are exciting. Carol, really, you come at this from an HR perspective. And I know we've had those discussions how it's really not the Department of Inhuman Resources, but how have you taken that HR perspective and expanded that? Yeah.
Well, you know, when I first started, I really didn't have an HR degree. I didn't have an HR certification, and I thought the practice was going to be mostly a financial type of thing. I was going to have to learn spreadsheets, do accounting, do everything else that was running the business. And I quickly found out that about 70% of my business included HR, whether it was just how to deal with the board of directors, or with the other physicians, or with my billing staff. So I went, after being a practice manager for a couple years, and got a certification in HR, just because it was something that I needed to know everything about. There were so many pitfalls that you could have as you were hiring someone, terminating someone, or just making them engaged as an employee. So I just felt that that was really important, and it's really paid off. It's made me a much better leader than I would have been without.
That's great. You know, I've often thought about we make decisions at the board, policy, and maybe not so much policy, maybe it's just approving statements, etc. But do we need to be more intentional as an industry about reaching out to young women that may be thinking about a career in business? You know, what about managing a practice, or running a billing office, or whatever it is? Are we intentional enough, and is maybe that an area that RBMA needs to look at? The intentionality of encouraging young women to go into this industry. Just throw that out, because we all kind of accidentally fell into it.
You know, Bob, I could speak to that because I had a couple of members, RBMA members, who did come up to me and was very excited to see more women at the executive level of RBMA, and also involved with the board. And from that perspective, I'm pretty excited about all of us being part of that experience. This is, again, the first time, and I think that with all your backgrounds, we're going to make it an amazing year. We're going to, like I always say, knock it out of the park. And we already have. We thought last year we've done such an amazing job, and I think with Shannon and Linda and obviously you at the helm, Sarah, and I think we're going to do great.
Great.
Christy, I've said this before, but thank you again for your leadership over the past year. It's been
Thank you.
incredible.
The year goes quick, doesn't it?
It went quick, but I would say that it was long, but you know, one of the highlights was Spark. I really
Looking
liked
forward to that.
the Spark meeting.
I haven't been in a few years.
And I would recommend any RBMA member or non-members to come to Spark. And one of the things that stood out for me at Spark, not pertaining to women in leadership, was that there were people from Canada. And that is a market we should go after.
We actually have some people from
We have a couple people
here.
from Canada here.
Are they the
Conference.
same one?
I think
No,
they're
I
different
don't think
people.
so.
They're different.
Yeah, I think
Are they different from the ones from? All right. I think
Yeah, it was
that's
Canada.
something that we should absolutely look at. And I'm really happy to see more and more women involved. And men. We need, you know what? We need men. I don't know.
Sooner or later, you need us. Somebody's got to take the garbage out. Linda Wilgus is also our chair of the Federal Affairs Committee. And she and I share a lot in common in that I was the first chair of the Federal Affairs Committee. That's how I got kind of into RBMA
Oh, wow.
leadership. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They created it and said, still can do that because he likes politics, you know. So Linda and I have shared time on Capitol Hill, and a lot of women run into our government. So I just kind of that perspective too is very interesting.
Yeah, so this was an interesting election in 2018. A lot of women now hold seats in Congress. Well, I think I recently heard a statistic that more women now than ever are holding political office. So that's exciting. And again, getting back to your previous question, you know, I think the more our emerging leaders can see women in a leadership position, it empowers them and it gives them an opportunity to grow and know that their voice will be heard. So, but I would like to promote RBMA's Learn Conference. It'll be held in September, the 16th, 17th, I believe. Please hold the date on your calendar. More information will come out. We use that time to learn about the issues that are critical to radiology, and we take those issues to our congressional representatives on the Hill and speak to them about how they can help us take better care of our patients. So unfortunately, most of medicine comes out of legislation, either legislation or regulatory issues, regulatory matters, and so we need to make sure that the people that are making those rules understand the impact of those rules and how we can help do better care for our patients.
Yeah, and it's very, one of the things that strikes me is now as I walk in the room and talk to a member of Congress or their staff, usually it's their staff. I'm the oldest person in the room, and you talk about ultrasound, and no one in the room has ever had an ultrasound or a mammography or, you know, a lot of,
Or MRI.
yeah, so you kind of have to start there, but Linda's very good at explaining that, so we appreciate that. That's good. So we're excited about the year. I can tell you this group of ladies are going to be great leaders in RBMA. We're looking forward to great things. We are at the Diplomat Hotel in Hollywood, Florida next year for Paradigm. We've just completed a wonderful Paradigm meeting here at the Broadmoor, and it's just onward and upward, and we're looking forward to all of your leadership attributes and skills. So
I
thank
want
you
to
all.
thank
Daniel.
you, Bob, for your leadership.
For my patients? No, I'm just kidding.
You've done an amazing job. We really have.
Thank you.
For that, I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for doing
All
this.
right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.